I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags, and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Good morning, everyone. It's February 6th, 2021. I'm Eric. It's easier to fool people than to convince them that they've been fooled. That quote supposedly coming from Mark Twain. And man, is it ever hard to convince people that they have been fooled, have fallen for a hoax or a big fat lie or a false flag, whatever you would like to call it. We have people in our country running around with fucking face masks on, some of them with more than one. We have a government and news media that, well, constantly lies to us. They may put little slivers of reality or truth in to their so-called news pieces, but the majority of what they say is meant to manipulate you and to con you into believing nonsensical, non-reality based shit. Take what happened on January 6th, for example. The media is selling to you, the public, the idea that the actions taken that day was some kind of insurrection, was some kind of attempted coup. And they keep pushing this narrative. You know, the domestic extremists, the domestic terrorists. We as human beings enjoy entertainment that depicts a dystopic, nightmarish, sometimes post-apocalyptic, sometimes not, world. Meanwhile, they miss the dystopia unfolding all around them. My question, though, is how do you believe anything that's spat from the mouths of mainstream media? How do you believe anything that's spewed from the mouths of politicians? When will you recognize the dystopia right in front of you? So, in today's video, and I bring this dystopia stuff up because I did a video the other day, which I really think you should see. It's called, The Dystopia Gets More Dystopic. And man, was that assessment correct. So, I have a couple of clips here queued up, okay? And one of them is a recent clip of some woman from, I believe, MSNBC, I believe. It's on the clip, right? And she's talking about, with a straight face, drone striking people in this country who are deemed domestic extremists, insurgents. So, let's check it out. Yes, MSNBC.
And again, that's not us saying so, John Hammond. That is a bulletin released to all law enforcement earlier this week that there is, until the end of April, a persistent threat of domestic extremism, domestic terrorism carried out in the ideology and around this belief that the election was fraudulent, that the COVID restrictions are unnecessary. All of those ideologies pushed by Donald Trump. But my question for you is around incitement. We had a policy, and it was very controversial. It was carried out under the Bush years and under the Obama years, of attacking terrorism at its root, of going after and killing, and in the case of Amr al-Awlaki, an American, a Yemeni American, with a drone strike for the crime of inciting violence, inciting terrorism. Mitch McConnell was in the Senate then. He was in the Senate after 9/11, too. How does Mitch McConnell, who understands that the way you root out terrorism is to take on, in the case of Islamic terrorism, kill those who incite it, how does he not vote to convict someone that he said on the floor of the Senate incited an...
So this woman is suggesting that these types of actions be taken in the homeland, our homeland, on this continent, against people who believe differently than she does. Now, let's see here. All right. And then we have this right here. The context box. Isn't that nice of them to provide us with some context. And what it says is, and the context comes from Wikipedia, by the way. QAnon is a disproven and discredited far-right conspiracy theory alleging that a secret cabal of Satan-worshipping, cannibalistic pedophiles is running a global child trafficking ring and plotted against former U.S. President Donald Trump while he was in office. See how they're muddying waters here. They associated QAnon with the idea of a secret cabal. Now, I don't know if they're Satan worshippers or what. It would certainly appear that way. But I don't know. I'm not there for their meetings. However, it does appear that way. Cannibalistic. Well, you remember the video I did a good while back where I introduced you to a cannibal club in Los Angeles, a restaurant. So, kind of hard to deny that some of these individuals, if not all of them, are cannibalistic. Because they have high-end restaurants, and I only focused on one, but, you know, if there's one, there's another. Pedophiles. QAnon never mentioned Donald Trump's fucking ties to Jeffrey Epstein. They're all connected to Jeffrey Epstein. And what was Jeffrey Epstein? A fucking pedophile. So, context, you know. And Jeffrey Epstein is a well-known child sex trafficker. And then, of course, there was Nexium. You remember that, don't you? Nexium. See how they try to discredit the cannibalistic part, the pedophile part, the child sex trafficking part, by associating it with QAnon. My question, another question for you is, how do you believe people who will tell you a bald-faced lie that you can easily go and check for yourself? And by me questioning this whole thing here, that might make me a domestic extremist. I mean, this woman literally called for violence to be used against the American people by the military, via drone strike, via murder. And every one of these people, I didn't clip the whole interview, every one of these people more or less agreed with that. So tell me, do you live in a dystopia? I think you do. So how do you trust dick faces like this?
Is it true that the vibe about Cheney was completely the inverse of what was up there with the QAnon lady? That she got people supporting for her and applauding after she spoke?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to several people who were in the room who told me that after Marjorie Taylor Greene addressed the Republican conference, which was actually about a couple hours into the session, she finally addressed the room. She contended that her statements that she's made, all the conspiracies, including QAnon, don't represent her. She said she said some things in the past before she was elected that she does not necessarily...
So, this woman threw all of you fucking Q-tards under the bus. All you Trump-tards, too. What do I call libtards, libtards, and Trump tards? Very simple. They don't see their side for what it is. So, how do you believe guys like this? How do you take them seriously when they've been caught doing shit like this?
CD, if you need to take cover, I notice that you've got your gas mask in your hands. If you need to put it on, please do so. If you need to take cover, please do so. If you are able to take a question, did you think that the possible threat would be over because it is now morning there? It's what, just after 6 o'clock in the morning?
The whole thing is everyone assumed that the threat would be over because it was early morning. But the thing about Saddam Hussein is that he has never done the expected, and right now we have, once again been surprised with the unexpected, an air raid, an apparent attack, although we can't say what the outgoing missiles hit, at approximately 20 after 7 in the morning Saudi Arabian time. All the other attacks have occurred from 10 o'clock at night till 4 in the morning. This is the first one to take place in eastern Saudi Arabia during the daylight hours. Now, that sound you hear behind me is the hotel.
Richard Thicker.
It's not the national.
By afternoon.
So people are looking up in the skies, scanning the skies to see what they can see. Do we see much of anything out there? Can we see much of anything? Okay. Well, apparently there was some word of outgoing. Again, we cannot be specific about the direction. All right, we are now led to understand that there are also firings in another city in Saudi Arabia. CNN's Carl Rochelle is here with me, just came up. Carl, I know we can't be very specific given these restrictions, but within those parameters, what did you see?
Well, what I saw, I didn't see anything hit. I looked almost straight above us. There was a vapor trail coming from my right to my left, and there's a cloud of something. It looks like it might have been an explosion, a cloud. I'd say it was...
No, I know might be a conspiracy theorist by saying this, but that was a staged event. They do these staged events quite a bit. In fact, a lot of the so-called mass shootings that always seem to happen while the leftists are in power were staged events. Now, I've had a channel on YouTube multiple times. And the second to last to get banned was same title as this one, same channel name. They've all been this name except for my very first. After I posted a video showing all the discrepancies in the Parkland shooting testimony, or the witness accounts, I should say, and I was promptly banned for that video, and there were a lot of inconsistencies. I mean, a lot. So, how do you trust news media who deliberately lies to you? It's not like they accidentally lie, like they get a fact wrong here and there, and it's just because maybe they didn't see that, or maybe it wasn't, no light was shed upon it, but they are telling you straight up deliberate lies. And they are targeting in these bulletins, these security bulletins, or domestic terrorist bulletins, whatever you want to call them, anti-lockdown people, anti-government people, pro-Second Amendment people. They are targeting mostly white males. Now, no, I'm not turning this into a racial thing. They have done that for me. They being the news media and leftists in general. Now, I have a account over at Reddit, and I was scrolling through Reddit, checking out different posts, and so there's somebody in there that supported these actions and citing how it was done to the black people for a long time. And I don't disagree with that. Everybody has been a victim, or every race anyway, has been a victim of statist violence. Black folks are not the only ones. And he goes on to cite different events, like a particular one that happened in Philadelphia where they completely destroyed a black area of town, right? And that was fucked up, let me tell you. However, I recall a certain group of people there in Texas, I believe it was, called the Branch Davidians. They were white, mostly. LaVoy Finnegan, remember him? He was needlessly gunned down by the FBI. What about Randy Weaver and his family? Fact is, as I said before, there's not a racial group in this country who has not been a victim of statist or statism violence. All of us have. Now, they're putting a laser beam on people who think the election was stolen, which it was. I don't like Donald Trump. I don't like Joe Biden. I have not a dog in that fight. But it was stolen. It was stolen. And now they are trying to turn a whole bunch of people into felons overnight. Which brings me to my next question. How is it you take these labels on people seriously? You know, the label of felon. You know how easy it is for somebody to become a felon? You don't think it can happen to you, right? Now we have former CIA officials talking about treat domestic extremism as an insurgency. So, and he's not the only one. So when are they going to start coming after people? They already have, is the answer. They already have. website did I see that on? Let me think about that. The biggest gun control bill in history targets the poor and will make millions of felons overnight. Now I gotta wonder, how many of you law-abiding citizens are going to comply with this? Just so you can say, well, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I pay my taxes. I support the thin blue line. I wonder. But H.R. 127, known as the Sabika Sheik Firearm Licensing and Registration Act, introduced by Sheila Jackson Lee, Texas Democrat. And it is, without a doubt, the most tyrannical gun control bill ever proposed. They keep saying things like, get weapons of war off the streets. Right? When are they going to do it? When are they going to take their weapons of war off the streets? You know, the guys that pull you over, flashing lights, they in themselves are a weapon of war. They are the standing army our country's founders incessantly warned about. So, if this were to pass, it would turn millions of people into felons, just like that. How many of you would take those labels against them individuals seriously? Whose side are you on? Are you on the side of the government? And I'm not talking about these fucking retarded candidates. I'm talking about the government. The real government. The permanent government. Do you find it to be acceptable to make millions of people felons overnight, and then to throw the fucking book at them and get them put in some kind of camp or prison? These laws are made by twits like this.
There was no partner, was not yelling, Capitol Police, etc., etc. But then, but then it didn't feel right.
These laws come from people like this. Lying, manipulating, disingenuous twits. Morons. Is it going to play? Probably not. So this woman, she's been lying about what happened on January 6th. And she's pushing for people to go to fucking prison or be executed. Are you going to go along with that? Are you going to believe what you're being told? And in case you think me as a so-called conspiracy theorist is wrong, check this article out over at the Free Thought Project. COVID detainment facilities go from conspiracy theory to official government policy in just 3 months. So, conspiracy theorist. And I will only do a brief little quote here. I ask this government if people should prepare for internment camps. Ontario Provincial Member of Parliament, Randy Hillier, asked the Central Canadian Province Legislature during question period on October 7th, 2020. And they're not only in Canada, they're doing the shit here. We've had facilities built for a long time. And they've been dying to use these facilities. They've been staffed, equipped. They have manuals outlining how the detainees are to be treated, how the facilities are to be laid out, how the people are to be processed. And we're talking about American manuals here. What's this? I don't remember. Oh, right. We'll get back to that. So we can go over here to Blacklisted News and just get quick summaries of some of the things going on. On the site, Biden states that he will use executive action to get weapons of war off our streets, calling an AR-style weapon a weapon of war, which is, well, laughable given the fact that Biden, under President Obama, aided in the wholesale slaughter of countless innocent civilians in Afghanistan, Iraq, Yemen, Libya, and Somalia, using real weapons of war, like, drone strikes, Hellfire missiles, and sanctions, which is what is being proposed for us. We're already under sanctions. We already have the standing military who possess real weapons of war. Like armored personnel carriers, Humvees, and here it is. Now, I'm not a Trump supporter. Again, I don't support any political candidate control freaks. None of them. Do not support any law enforcement department at all. I do not support the idea that one group of people or class has a right to be controlling everyone else. FBI raids Trump supporters who spoke at rally the day before the Capitol storming. Interrogates random Trump supporters who never even went. So this idea that your law enforcement community is on your side because you believe in law and order is false. Is false. The FBI reportedly raided the homes of 2 Trump supporters who spoke at rallies the day before the Capitol protest. That's what it was. And is now contacting random Trump supporters who didn't attend any Capitol protest-related events for questioning. The FBI reportedly raided the homes of 2 Trump supporters who spoke at rallies. Why did they do that twice? I do apologize for that. And we have this twit here, who got caught in a fucking bald-faced lie, asking her supporters to report people who tweeted hashtag Alexandria Ocasio-Smollett. And I think probably most of you probably know what that's about, right? Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez emailed her supporters on Wednesday night to encourage them to mass report everyone who tweeted hashtag Alexandria Ocasio-Smollett, a hashtag making fun of her for claiming she narrowly escaped death during the Capitol protest despite not even being in the Capitol building. I don't know what to fucking tell people anymore. You believe the wrong people. You believe everybody who's telling you bald-faced lies. You believe everybody who's trying to manipulate you. You believe everyone who's out to take your freedom. You believe people who want to use fucking drones on you. And not the people who are telling you the truth. New York Times calls for Biden to appoint a reality czar to fight misinformation. This is a government that uses the CIA and news media as propaganda outlets. And now they want a reality czar. I mean, if that's not dystopic, I don't know what is. But hey, what do I know, right? I'm just, poor white trash. That's, an extremist. One of the good ways of really socking it to these people is mockery. Is to make them look as stupid as you can possibly make them look. And you gotta be on that shit all the time. Every day, you have to make fun of them in some way. Because mockery is a very good tool. Scrutiny is a very good tool. The more we scrutinize, the more we mock, the more their true colors will be shown. Like immunity passports. Yeah. Meanwhile, high levels of toxic heavy metals found in some baby foods. U.S. congressional investigators found dangerous levels of toxic heavy metals in certain baby foods that could cause neurological damage. A House Oversight Committee said in a report released on Thursday. That's on top of the heavy metals in the formula, heavy metals in the vaccines, heavy metals in the air. Protection or pain treatment. Choosing between your gun and medical marijuana. And I know you law and order retards out there. Well, if you're smoking weed, you shouldn't be able to have a gun. Listen. I smoke weed. I've never used my guns, or should I say, misused my guns in any way, shape, or form. Never pointed at another human being. Never fired out of malice. So I'm a lot more responsible with my firearms than your local sheriff's department, than your local police department. Where, when they murder somebody in cold blood, most of the time, they're covered for. But, by the way, people, marijuana is not a pain reliever. It does not relieve pain. Percocets relieve pain. Marijuana, it distracts you. That's what it is. It's a pain distractant, not a pain killer. So, they're coming after people. They're coming after people, and you're going to believe the very people who support these kind of actions against the American population. We will be treated like the people of Baghdad was treated, or the people of Libya. And if you think that's so far-fetched, then, man, you haven't been paying attention. Anyway, thought I'd talk to you guys about this stuff today. I hope you have a great day. This is where I'm going to end it with this right here. The globalists are going to need a bigger virus as the economic fraud is exposed. It is a general rule that corrupt economies tend to operate on faith and not on fundamentals. You know, like being backed by some sort of physical wealth, like gold, silver, maybe even agriculture. And to be clear, it's not so much about naive faith that the system is stable or functional. No, it's more about the masses having faith that the corruption and instability will never be derailed. Most people are not as stupid as the establishment and central banks think they are. Almost everyone knows the system is broken. They just refuse to consider the possibility that the fraud will be disrupted or that it will be allowed to fail. So, and there's lots of that going on, lots of fraud in the financial market, in the government, in the elections, you name it, there's fraud there. Till next time, kill the state, live free.